In this lesson, we're going to talk about auditing the network infrastructure security. Now, when you're performing an audit on the network infrastructure security, you should look at things like the network diagrams to understand the full connectivity between all of the networks, all those options. You want to identify the network designs that are implemented, as well as understanding the IP naming strategy or numbering strategy, and how the network is segmented into different subnets. You should determine the applicable security policies, standards, and procedures and guidance that's used on network management. You should be able to identify who's responsible for the security and the operation of the Internet. I should say of the Internet connection, not like the whole thing. And determine if they have sufficient knowledge to be able to do those types of activities. You should be looking to see if any considerations are given to any legal problems that you might have from the use of the Internet. Make sure you have seen all of the service level agreements, and of course take a look at the network administrator's procedures to ensure that the hardware and software are being upgraded against new vulnerabilities as well. Now, auditing remote access is also important. It can dramatically improve your business productivity to have it, but it does generate new control issues and new security concerns because there are new ways to get into the network. So you should test the remote access connections. Determine if the remote access procedures are based on cost-effective and risk-based solutions. That means you have to understand it, test it, analyze it, and know what the risks are. As an auditor, you should look at email to see if that's allowed outside of the local area network. Again, a type of remote access, because you know what? I can send email that has all your corporate secrets out unless you're doing something to stop me or to check for it. The auditor should look at the marketing information, the stuff that's on web pages. Talk to the sales channel, electronic commerce folks to understand what they're doing, because, let's face it, marketing is external access, right? Remote access, they're coming into my website. If I'm doing online sales, e-commerce, I need to know what channel of communications are coming in on, what pages, web servers, how that works. We want to take a look at all of that. And what channel are we using for the delivery of goods and services? Not everything's an electronic channel, right? I mean, it could be the goods and services are electronic and they download them. It could be that I'm shipping things. We want to look at kind of a good way to understand how all of this remote access is being looked at, handled. Is it good for business? Is it cost effective? Has it been analyzed? You should also consider doing a network penetration test. And there are many procedures that can be used that are very similar to that of the hacker, and these procedures can validate the security of a network. It's usually called a pen test or ethical hacking. And when you're doing that, some of the things that should be mentioned in the scope of the audit, and this is important. This is your get out of jail free card. You got to have a statement of work, a charter, a contract that says these are the IP addresses and ranges that you can test. Here's any restrictions to hosts within that range. Here are the tests that I think are acceptable, and you're going to have proposed a methodology, and you're going to see it being signed off and accepted. Especially if in your methodology you run a test that might cause a server to crash, to cause an outage or a failure. You don't want to be financially liable for that. So if that's in the test, it's in the proposed methodology, and you've documented it could happen, right? As long as they've accepted it, it's a start. When will you do the test? The timing of the attack. What source address are you going to attack from? Because you know what? The people in security are still going to be there watching, learning, seeing the attack, hopefully. And we want them to at least know if it's a real one or if it's coming from your source address so they know it's you. And of course, a warning notification from the auditor before any of the simulation or actual test begins, so that people that are in the world of security know you're about to start lighting up some alarms, and at least we hope, so that they can detect that you're there. But that's one of the things we do. It's a fun, actually, the most fun in auditing for me is to actually get paid, to hack into something. What should not be done? If you find, let's say you're doing a scan of IP address ranges, and you find a server that's not on your list, and you go and check it out because it's maybe in your IP address range, and you realize it's maybe a crucial server with lots of information, here's what you don't do. You don't hack it to see what's inside. You bring it up, talk about how it wasn't in the charter, ask if that's on the charter before you touch it, right? Your get out of jail free card is important here. Now, I realize that there are different types of tests, white hat, black hat, right? And, or I should say white box, black box, sorry. The white box means I know all about the network. The black box means I don't know anything, and I'm trying to find out what I can, and gray is some combination in between. But be safe. Err on the side of liability for you legally, to not have to pay for any damages that are done or any information you may have found that might cause suspicion to be drawn to you. Now, as we do the different types of tests, obviously we can test from an external side. I think these are intuitive. I don't need to get into too much detail. It can be an internal test. You know, what can I see from different points of the local area network? A blind test, what I call a black box, where I don't know anything about the network or very little. Double blind test. I could be testing a specific server, targeted testing. The risks of the penetration test, of course, is there's no assurance that I'm going to find all the weaknesses. Miscommunications means that maybe I don't meet the objectives of the test. My test might trigger an escalation, right? I might take something down that's going to escalate it up, or it may find something that that people didn't think I could do, and now they're like running scared. I had that kind of a challenge with a training center in the Midwest. They were working on their webpage, and I jokingly said, you know, hey, I'm going to hack your network. But he said, go ahead and try. And he was serious. He said, no, go ahead and try. And so like a week later, I tried some very basic stuff, found out I could log in as an administrator with absolutely no problem at all with a little SQL injection, made a little phone call, set a little video of my doing it, and man, did that stir up some trouble, right? That escalated fast because apparently that was all their sales accounts. And they didn't want, you know, anybody else to do that. Plus, I teach their students how to do that. So, you know, anyway, it was kind of fun. It was legal. Sensitive information might be disclosed. Yeah, that's a big deal. If I'm doing a test, I might find stuff that you don't want outsiders to know. Hopefully not illegal activities or insider trading, that kind of stuff, but, you know, still corporate secrets. And, like I said, it's a possibility things can get broken and damaged, especially crucial systems, so everybody needs to be aware of that. Now, after the penetration test, a comprehensive review of all the network systems and vulnerabilities should be done. We should basically do that so we can determine what are the threats against the CIA, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The following review should occur with security policies and procedures as a part of the review. The network and firewall configuration should be evaluated for design. Logical access control should be evaluated. And, of course, if you have any of the other things like IDS, any filtering systems, encryption, any strong authentications, antivirus scanners, any audit logging, we want to take a look and see how they performed.